All right. I got a Note 10 Plus on. You can do the pen and hit it from a distance record. I may start recording more videos like this. I don't know. We'll see. But this one's about, if you clicked on this, maybe you have a Canon 80D like I do, and you're trying to figure out what your upgrade path possibly could be. And I'm assuming you're also like me, like you don't have really a ton of money, or if any money right now, to spend. So the best budget thing is probably the best. So they have announced the Canon 90D coming out. The body alone is going to be like $1,200, and because I was kind of contemplating just upgrading my 80D to the 90D, but they took away the 24p, which kind of sucks. Because I want something that can do good photo and good video too. I mean, they finally give you 120p in 1080, no, 120 frames per second in the 1080p. But I think there's no audio, which I never really thought of that to be an issue, and there's like no autofocus. Supposedly gives you the full sensor readout for the 4K, but there's also reports too that like the 4K in this camera is not good. It seems to be like 3K upscaled to 4K. Like apparently they're just like their tech seems to be not able to compete with like Sony. And also what came out too was the Canon EOS M6 Mark II. So that has a lot of tech. What I wish they would have done is obviously keep the 24p in there, or the 24 frames per second, but they should have took like the mirrorless tech in the M6 Mark II and put it in the 90D body. I mean, the 90D body does, I mean, it has like a thumbstick now on the back, but it still has the same like 45 autofocus points that's in the 80D. But the M6 Mark II has, it has I don't know, what was it, 300 some? It's got a ton of it's got like 80% coverage of the sensor, so that sucks. If they can combine that and made it great, that would have been cool. So I don't know if I'm really going to do that. I kind of want to go to full frame, so they have the RP, and it's like 1,300 for the body, which is cheap for a full frame. But it's 1.6 crop for the 4K. There's no Canon dual pixel autofocus, and if you stick EFS lenses on there, you can't use 1080p. You're stuck with either 4K or 720p. So that kind of sucks. Kind of looking at the Canon EOS R. That does have 4K with the dual pixel autofocus, but it's like 1.7. I mean, you do get 10-bit out. I don't know. It's just, I don't like, for me, maybe for you too, if I want to get, like I do want to at some point move to a full frame camera, but I also don't want one with like, I don't want one with like a single card slot, because I kind of want to at that point maybe start doing paid gigs, and essentially I don't want to like, it becomes an issue because I've looked at certain agencies or certain people looking for like a backup shooter. Like you got to have a camera that's dual card slots. So what I'm contemplating doing, which a lot of people have done, is kind of like I've waited like a year or two to see what Canon will do. I'm like, I can't. The Sony A6600 was released, and it's 1,400 body only. But what I might do is get the Sony A6400. Body only is like 900. You get the small little kit lens that makes it 1,000, so you can start for 1,000. Now the A6600 has, you know, it has like the bigger battery, which is something I would want. But I also don't want to pay, you know, what was it, 14 to... I don't want to pay, you know, an extra $500 for it. But talking about the full frame earlier, what I may contemplate, because I started with the Canon T2i that I got in probably like 2011 or 12, and I used it until I bought the Canon 80D a couple of years back. I think it was 2017 when I bought it, because I was needing it for more. Because at the time I was contemplating between that and the GH5, and at the time, and still kind of now, where I'm like a single shooter, like filming myself, like YouTube videos and stuff, like the autofocus is something that's key. And with the Sonys, they had the overheating issues, so I was waiting for a while. But the Sony A6400 that came out, it's probably like 6 months now. It came out like there's no record limit. The 4K is actually 6K downsampled to 4K, which is better than Canon's 3K upscaled to 4K. Like no record limit, good 4K, flip up screen, all that stuff. So I'm contemplating getting that. Then they had the Sigma Primes too. The 16-1.4, the 30-1.4, and the 56-1.4. So that would help a lot. But I heard the stabilization is not really good in the Sony cameras. But what I'm thinking is trying to maybe get the A6400. Then whether I want to get the 18-135, which is similar to the Canons, like the kit lens for the 80D. Or maybe get like the 18-105 or just the Sigma Primes. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. But eventually try to have the A6400 with a few lenses. Have that for like, photo and stuff too, for now. But eventually try to get the Sony A7 III. Because that's like $2,000 for the body. You have a full frame camera. It's supposed to do extremely well in nighttime situations. Because I shoot some like kind of small venue concert things. Then like kind of a lot of landscape stuff at like, sunset, dusk, blue hour, which you need. Which really pushes like the noise and the ISO and the stuff on the 80D. So that would be helpful. Then also with that, I would want to get the where's it at? I want to get the instead of getting the G Master lenses, I would probably want to get the Tamron 28-75 2.8 because it seems to be smaller. It's reasonably priced. They released the 17-28 2.8, so you kind of get a wide in your mid range for a decent price. Then another one I kind of want to look at getting to is this kind of it's still like $800 or $900, but it's kind of more a cheaper lens, if you want to call it, for full frame. The 24-240 for like walk around, street photography, landscape stuff. Because when I'm shooting landscapes, they're higher f-stops anyway, so I don't necessarily need that. So at first I may get the A7 III and try to get the 24-240. Then if I need something, get a couple of primes here and there. Then the 28-75 and the 17-28 2.8 for that. Then almost have that as its own full frame dual SD card kit, along with I can have the Sony A6400, have the couple of lenses there. My one issue though is I don't know why. Because obviously you want like a good, because I like having a good, wide angle lens. This one's like 10-18. It has like stabilization and stuff in it, which is great for taking, I'm kind of like city landscape, so I'm kind of like, I can only go back so far to take photos. Sony's APS-C one is 10 to 18 f4 OS. For some reason, that lens is like $800. I don't know why they have it priced for $800. But that would be a good, you know, kind of like, it has stabilization. The 6400 doesn't. Oh, the 66 does. But that necessarily doesn't. I don't hear anything good about the Sony stabilization in body. So I think, but it's just like, that's a lot to pay for a small. Because this one was like $270, I believe. There's also this possibility too, I may get the 6400 to start off with the, I may get the 16 to 50 because it's cheap and it's 16 instead of 80, so I can kind of vlog with that a little bit too, and it makes it small, kind of like almost a little pancake lens. It's be a good little street shooter for photography. So I don't know. I'm curious if you have an 80D, what you're planning on doing. Maybe you just plan on keeping it. I kind of want to start, I didn't for a while. I stuck with 1080, but I kind of want to start producing more like 4K content. I've been able to, you know, over time implement, you know, I have like better internet connection now. I recently, a couple months ago, upgraded my laptop after my previous one I've had for, I had it, you know, 7 years before that. Because I think most people, I just upgraded my phone too, and I upgrade, you know, it was like 3 years I had that. So I think most people are on like a 3 to 5 year progression on their tech. I mean, maybe some people do buy the newest thing every year. It's just like, they just, I'm assuming most people like me, they're like kind of on a tighter budget dealing with this, unless you're doing this professionally, which if you are, you're probably not watching this and you can just straight out buy stuff. But I do kind of want to, because maybe I can start doing paid photo and video gigs, you know, with like the A7 III and those lenses. Then the A64 can be, you can have like, if I was going to do video work, probably, I don't know, I'd have both of them. Photography, I'd obviously use the full frame with the dual card slots. Then have that. A64 is kind of like a backup telephoto. You can do dual stuff. But also with the A6400 and Sony, it's supposed to have better low light. So I'm wondering if, because of this one, I've used the 24-2.8 and the 51.8 to do kind of like the nighttime stuff I was talking about. And I've been able to like kind of scrape by with that. But with the 6400 and the Sigma Prime, especially like the 16-1.4, if I get in close and like the, you know, in the bar doing the concerts or whatever, I may be able to scrape by quite a bit longer with that instead of having to jump to full frame. So, I don't know. I kind of, what are your thoughts on it? Is there something I'm missing? I've kind of thought about this, the Fujifilm X-T3. I mean, that has, I mean, it's APS-C. It has the dual card slots. It does, you know, it does the 4K 60, has the 10-bit internal, but it doesn't have unlimited recording, which maybe they can fix through firmware. I don't know. But they don't have a flip-out screen. I know a lot of people don't care, but if you're like, if you want to have like a single system, a single camera system where you can do everything, especially like filming yourself a lot. I mean, if I get to do more paid gigs where I'm like behind the camera a lot more, like a GH5 that doesn't have great autofocus, but I'm behind, like manual focus. At that point, that would make sense. But like, I'm doing a lot of self-filming myself right now. I'm doing a lot of self-filming, so I realize this is kind of ranty, but like I've been trying to figure out like the best way to do this and like the best budget option and what makes the most sense. Yeah, so if you got anything that I've missed, if you're still here, good job. This is like just a big rant I was wanting to do. And also I was wanting to try out filming on the new phone. And I may just like post straight from the phone to YouTube to see how that goes, because I've tried that before with the other one. Even though that was recorded in 4K, it only uploaded it in 720. So I'm wondering. Also, this is a tangent. On this phone, it has like a 1:1 that has a 16:9 that has like a kind of full. And it's almost like it's not like anamorphic, but it's like wider than 16:9. So it's like a, I don't know what the actual aspect ratio is. It's the super whatever. But yeah, cool. All right, cool. Let's see if I can